The first time I ever tried 3D printing was when everything was like this, back in like 2014. And it was pretty horrible. We were supposed to print stuff with ball joints, but it didn't work because, the lines on the 3D printer were too big, and just back then it just wasn't really possible. From then on, I always just thought you couldn't really print working ball joints with a printer unless it was calibrated perfectly. I mean, a resin printer would work, but it's just not possible. The lines are too thick. Eventually I would print this sign, and eventually, many years later, I'd try to print a Bodybot, but I encountered the same issue because I'm just not good at calibrating 3D printers. But over the years, 3D printers have gotten a lot better, and the 13 series is a perfect example of that. This is just a very phenomenal, really cool 3D printing action figure, which still ties into all that stop motion posing stuff that we've been talking about on this sort of series. So yeah, today we'll be covering that along with all the scams and stuff that's been surrounding this, because a lot of people knock off this design. So this all started with Sousaphone, the creator of the Lucky13 family, aka all of the Lucky13 models. After this Reddit post was made about a bunch of different prototypes, it gained a lot of traction and became, I believe, one of the most popular things on Printables, a website where you can download different files for 3D printing stuff. And it makes sense why this became so popular, because the design is really smart. It basically is like a simpler version of a Gundam, but when you compare these to something like Bodybots, they feel a bit more universal, and I could imagine these printing a lot better than a Bodybot. A big part of this, though, is customizability, which over 400 people have made different designs for the original Lucky13. There are so many of these incredible designs, which I'm just scratching the surface with, but they're amazing. Check them out on Printables. There's so many. This is really cool. Bodybot definitely has this, and some other stuff like Stikbot, but not on this scale. This is it's so universal, and because of its low poly design, a lot of people can get into it, and you don't need to be an expert 3D modeler. I asked Sousaphone what were some of their favorite designs, and they pointed me to Dr. Operator, who just re-engineers them into different characters, and this is so cool. After the original Lucky13 model was made, there was an Easy 13 model made. This is pretty much the exact same as the previous model, just it's easier to print. Then we would get the Mini 13, which is kind of like what the Clickbot Jr. should have been, and is much easier to print. And this is Sousaphone's favorite for its accessibility. However, one they are probably more familiar with is the Dummy 13, which has recently been very popular under different names. See, if you want to sell one of Sousaphone's designs, you have to be part of his club. And you basically just need to pay $15 a month to be able to print these and sell them on your Etsy shop or whatever. But there's been a lot of issues where someone will just take all the files off of Printables, then post them onto AliExpress with no credit to the original creator. And this is not only for these guys, but many other toys and 3D printing stuff too. So yeah, it totally sucks. Now, if you've seen these guys recently, it's probably through TikTok or YouTube. They've been getting recommended to a lot of Stikbot people and, just animation people in general. But almost every single one of these isn't an authorized seller, and they don't credit Sousaphone. A lot of them do have their own separate stores, but a lot of them just don't have their own store. They'll be like, link in bio, and there is no link. One of the more sketchy ones is Nova 13, which I'm showing right now. And you know that clip where they keep on showing the purple one? Yeah, that's actually stolen from this video with no credit. Now, not all these sellers are bad. So I asked Sousaphone what they thought of all this, and what they thought of these TikTok accounts, with a lot of them sort of aiming for shock factor kind of content.
I'm not on TikTok at all, which is where most of these videos seem to be. So I've only seen the videos if someone directly links them to me. In general, I have to pick my battles. I'm most concerned with getting these accounts to respect my intellectual property. I don't police the content of individual videos. At the end of the day, these are toys, and you can play with your toys how you want. I just want to be credited fairly. When you put anything online, it's so easy for it to get away from you. All it takes is 2 degrees of separation. I upload a design and some entrepreneurist with a print farm decides to ignore the Creative Commons license and starts selling it all on AliExpress with no credit to the original source. It's tough to get something taken down off AliExpress. That's the first degree. The person deliberately ripping me off. And then anyone else that comes across the store, see them selling a cool toy for cheap, and decide to buy a bunch and become a reseller. That's the second degree. They don't know that my model is ripped off. They just start reselling it. Or that's what they tell me when I contact them. So, again, I pick my battles. I try to get the first degree stuff taken down. And I try to work with the second degree people to properly credit and compensation. And have them stop sourcing prints from the first degree people. That's about as much as I have time and energy to pursue.
Now you notice how Nova 13 calls them Nova 13 instead of Dummy 13. Well, you've probably heard of these shorts, which these shorts are made by a different person who is the most popular creator, T13 or Titan13. I asked Sousaphone what are some shops that you can officially get these guys at with supporting the original creator and someone who is an authorized seller. I asked Sousaphone about Titan13 or T13, and they said that originally they weren't an authorized seller, but right now they're working on them being an authorized seller. I also asked for someone who wants to buy these guys and can't 3D print them, where can they buy them? On the official Lucky13 website, there will eventually be a list of authorized sellers, but for now there isn't one. It's coming soon. So make sure if you're going to buy one of these guys on the site, check if it's named with the original names like Dummy13 instead of Noah13, which isn't an authorized seller. So from my research and talking to Sousaphone, it seems like the safest one is Titan13's website, but still be careful out there. Now, another thing that you've been probably noticing about the T13's advertisements, sort of, is how they've been marketing sort of towards Stikbot or at the Stikbot community.
Stikbots can stick to walls. Do you really think T13 can't? T13 not only triple the joints compared to Stikbots, but also offer greater customization, impossible poses, and come with free accessories. Try harder. Would you rather have a T13 or have a stick?
2 out of the 3 most pinned successful videos are with Stikbots and stuff, so it's fun to kind of have the 2 toys jab at each other and kind of support each other in a way. So, these ads are really well done and I really like it, they're great. So I was like, why don't I try to buy from one of these guys? Because I just want to see, how legit it is. So I decided to go with Titan13 Toy. Titan13 Toy US, not to be confused with Titan13 Toy or whatever, another person. Because, this was one that I knew was sort of an authorized seller and would eventually, however long, go back to the original creator. So I'm like, okay, this is who I'm gonna buy from. Now, part of the reason why I also bought from this was for you guys, because I have seen a lot of comments, and they even made a video, if I can find it right here, it might take a bit, but they made a video responding to someone who was like, the shipping takes forever, and it's true, the shipping, here we go, I ordered mine a while ago and it still hasn't arrived. So yeah, there's just a lot of people who they haven't received their shipment after a month or whatever. So I was just like, okay, if I want to order one and see if this is actually like legit. On their website, they have all these, tons of colors, amazing poses. You can sketch with them, whatever. Now, this is their review section, and overall, like these are different homes. they look legit. So I'm like, okay, this looks pretty good. Like this is definitely a different camera than this one right here, right? So it looks pretty good. But I will say this one right here from Michael C. If we take a look at this photo, we can see that there's a house right here with like 2 windows and a door, and 2 bushes and this thing. And this is the exact same as the one they use in their own videos. So unless this is a like self-review, this is definitely a fake review right here. So I emailed them about it and I was like, hey guys, so the shipping's taking a little bit, like what's up? And they were saying that it was because there's a lot of demand for these guys, which makes sense. But I would also like to know where this is located, because I think that also, has a factor to do with it. But yeah, so if these come, then I'll update you guys in the comments if they don't come while I'm finishing this video. So while I wait for this, I thought that I should 3D print my own thing and just see how it works. So I decided to go with the Lucky13. In hindsight, I probably should have gone with the Easy 13 because, it's better for 3D printing. But I just wanted to go with the original because it's the original and just see how it is. So after about 15 hours of printing, I started putting it all together. And I was really surprised about how, the ball joints felt really good to put in. And they moved pretty well. Sometimes the lines on the ball joints would sort of move in a ratchet joint, interestingly. But if you sand it down, I'm sure it would work. For other parts like this, where you have to take in that little, ball socket and then smash it into this, I had to physically, use a shelf to push it down with all my body weight, which I heard some other people were doing. Keep in mind that I also scaled mine up a couple millimeters or something, just so that way it's a little easier on myself, but it's very cool, and all the parts actually kind of reminded me a little bit of Bionicle pieces. The only issues I really found were these weird sort of tiny ball joint, to a peg or something. These did not work very well, and I had to cut them down until they just didn't work at all. And when I snapped them, they still wouldn't fit even if I were to glue it, because it's just the wrong size. So in the end, it kind of turned out like this. It is missing the legs and the arms, so it only really has feet, a head, and torso. And I actually wasn't able to put the middle, secondary part of the stomach on, but I think it looks better without it. So here we go. This is my mini 13 or something. I don't know. But it's actually still really good. The ball joints feel phenomenal for being a real, it's just a 3D printed figure, and it feels like a proper action figure, just with PLA, of course. but the articulation's well, it holds a pose, like it actually feels really good. The accessories are really fun, especially the sword, which I really like and came out really well. And I would recommend just printing the sword on its own or the accessories, even if you don't want the Lucky13 or just want to make something else, because these accessories are amazing. He comes with a little hat which fits. I love this. This is just amazing, even if mine didn't really end up working right. It's really good for still poses, but I could see also if you tuned it just right being really good for animation. Something that surprised me is how many similarities with this and Bionicle I saw when building it. It was very similar, and if you want to feel that feeling of opening a new canister again, I would recommend building one of these. But I can see why authorized sellers and stuff is probably more appealing, because, you know, it takes probably about an hour to build this, and if you build them like a lot and you kind of memorize it, maybe 30 minutes. But I think I'd probably eventually just buy the normal figures from a seller and then print my own accessories. So throughout my searching, it seems like, sadly, one of the more reliable places is AliExpress, which really sucks. I still wouldn't buy from them, though, because you're not supporting the original creator, and it's just not good practice. But I wouldn't do it. This is where most of the like resellers get their stuff from, like Sousaphone said, but it's not good to buy from these guys. But currently, to me, it seems like this is one of the more trustworthy places, as it seems. So my final conclusion is a classic, Suffering from Success. But overall, I really like these guys, and I recommend you go buying them from maybe an authorized seller if you can find any, but also 3D print your own, make a bunch of models, post it to the community, all this cool stuff. Speaking of the community, I would also like there to be a Discord server. I talked to Sousaphone about it, and he said that he kind of half created a Reddit and Discord server, but he said it's not good to be in charge of your own community, which I get. But I think it would be a really good way to, you know, unite these people who are creating all this stuff. If you want to talk to the community, though, they're mainly on printables. So with that being said, thank you guys so much recently. You guys have been growing the channel so much. It's just incredible. I can't thank you enough. Thank you. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next one. Comment down below what animation toys or whatever you want to see next on this channel. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next one. Bye.